Welcome to Believe in People Unplugged, created in collaboration with and in support of the Matthew Perry House. Hosted by Amy Goldberg and Caitlin Morrison, this is a space for real conversations with musicians and artists, exploring who they are beyond the work, what fuels their creativity, and why music plays such an important role in their well-being.
Welcome to Believe in People Unplugged, in collaboration with the Matthew Perry House, hosted by me, Amy Goldberg, and Caitlin Morrison. Today's guest is Sekou Lumumba. Sekou is a spoken word artist, musician, and storyteller whose work lives at the intersection of rhythm, identity, healing, and community. Sekou, welcome to Believe in People Unplugged.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Well, I want to ask you first, your work, there's so many questions because how'd you get into music and all of this? I really want to know, but I want to ask you, your work blends kind of a rhythm and a truth. When did you realize the words or had a kind of the power to heal?
Well, you know what? I think I've known it I've been in love with music since I was a kid. Most of us, I think, right? And I think I've known it for a long time. I don't think I understood it till I was probably in my 30s, and just saw the connection it had with, like, lyrically, yes. Mostly for me, it's melodic, some very dramatic things, and all types of music, all kinds of music and stuff that are very emotive for me. So, I think in my 30s, I kind of realized that, like, wow, like, if I've had a bad day at work, or if I had a conflict that I couldn't resolve with someone, just having something, I know it could sound crazy, but having stuff on shuffle, and when something came up that happened to suit the mood or what I was feeling perfectly, it just felt like this moment in time, and it felt very special. It made me connect to the music. And then it made me realize that I've always felt that way about that song or that artist or whatever. I just didn't connect it until I had this sense memory or this emotion of, connecting it to the artist or the song or something. And then since then, it's been, I'm 52 now. And since then, it happens to me every day. Like every day I hear a piece of music that I have known for a long time. Or actually it happened last night. It happened with a new artist, Brenda Russell, who I wasn't familiar with. And I just went down the rabbit hole of going through her catalog, and was like, everything she does is resonating with me, everything.
Wow.
She's got a song about going to a bar in New York for the first time. And I'm like, yeah, that's how I felt when I went to a bar in New York for the first time. So having that, when you have that moment where you have a connection with a piece of music or an artist or something, there is nothing like that. There's things similar to, but there's nothing quite like that outside of music.
Wow.
Do you ever see that the other way? So like somebody you've never met before will have like a feeling connected to you kind of interaction the 1st time they meet you, and it's like, oh, I don't actually know you, friend.
I've just discovered, I'm not sure if we talked about this, but I'm neurodivergent. I've got non-stimulant based ADHD, and I take a couple different medications for it. But I'm learning a lot about my neurodivergence. I'm doing a lot of research and stuff. And one of the things I came across, Caitlin, is that neurodivergent people find each other. Like, it's wild. Like, in relationships, in friendships, we find each other. And there's a connection made, and we're not sure what it is. And then gradually, it's like you can start talking with ease about things that maybe socially you weren't able to speak as comfortably as someone else, but with someone with neurodivergence, whether it's autism or ADHD or ADHD, there's a connection that they have there, because we've spent our whole lives struggling, trying to fit into a mold that wasn't made for us, and we didn't know it. And if you go decades like that, you will find people who have had the same path in life and have the same difficulty where, everything feels like it's on hard mode for no good reason. And when you see someone who's going through the same struggles, or having the same coping mechanisms, maybe, there's a way to relate that you don't even know is happening. And I found, for me, it's a magic trick that once I've once I realized that, I saw it in my friends and acquaintances and bandmates and past bandmates and conflicts and all kinds of things. So we do find each other. We absolutely do find each other, and it's just part of our makeup. It's just part of who we are, you know?
And
Yeah.
how do you do that? Like, how do you go through life and realize, like, I know friends of mine have realized, like, in their well into like their 50s, that they realize that, oh, I just got diagnosed with ADHD, or, oh, that makes perfect sense. And, it's a relief. However, going on that path or that journey, you just feel like, I am so not of this planet. Like,
Hmm.
how do you get it? Like, how do you resolve, or not even resolve, how do you handle that journey for yourself?
Right. I mean, I'm still handling it. It's a fairly, I'd say fairly new, like only in the last 2 years have I kind of turned to it and kind of
Oh,
started
wow.
addressing it. And I think the initial thing that a lot of people go through, certainly I went through, is you have this feeling of, are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah.
Like, is that what this is? Are you fucking kidding me? I've been doing this so hard and trying to fit into this mold that everyone else has to fit into, not realizing there's different ways that my brain is biochemically structured. There's different ways that I process information. There's different ways I react to things. There's different ways I defend myself against certain things. And if you don't know those things, you go through life just kind of just doing your level best. And if you are a neurodivergent person, you have a lifetime of coping mechanisms like masking and all different types of things just to help you get through a paradigm that wasn't necessarily meant for you. You don't know that you have accommodations that can be made for you, or you can say, hey, you know, this doesn't work for me, or this does, whatever it is. And I think the initial thing is just a frustration of like, I can't believe that I've spent half a decade or however long that person is, going through feeling this way, not knowing that I could have been making changes to kind of just course correct and make little adjustments just to make things easier for myself. And I think, that's just a frustration. It happens every day. Like every day something jumps into your head where you go, oh, that's what that was. you know?
How
Um,
do you course correct? Like, what's one little thing like that could help people? Like, what do you think?
sure. Yeah, there's lots of stuff. One thing for me is dysregulation. I'm not sure if you're familiar with dysregulation. Um, it's a way of basically saying that like internally, what you're feeling internally is not matching what's happening externally. So you might say, "Hey, Sekou, I got to email you about something. I'm really I want to email you about something." And until I get that email all day, I'm like, "Oh, what is it? What is it? Is it? Am I fired? Is it what? Did I piss her off?" Blah, blah, blah. And then you email me. It's like, "Yeah, can you go out for lunch on Tuesday?" You know,
They should have
and
just said that.
there you
Oh my
go.
gosh, that would be brutal, right?
Right? And that's dysregulation. That's basically internally what's happening is when you aren't working from an executive function part of your brain, you're working from a fear part of your brain back here, which is what we're all built with. Cavemen, if we're running from a bear, the only thing we're worried about is surviving. We're not worried about our clothes or heat or our loved one. We're worried about surviving. And when you're in survival mode, that part of your brain does not know how to distinguish an email and a bear chasing you. It really doesn't. And so it kicks into its instinctual job of protecting you, of going, okay, well, maybe it could be this, maybe it could be this. Well, brace for this. And so dysregulation is a really big part of understanding that, like, you are having something that is not matched externally with what's happening internally. So a lot of it's just going, hold on, stop. It's just an email. And I guarantee you, what she's going to ask you about is not what you think it is. I promise you that. And it's really a process of telling yourself that over and over and over again. So when you have these moments of dysregulation, you are recognizing what's happening. And for me, understanding what's happening is everything. And people say knowing is half the battle, but I mean, it's such an understatement. Like understanding what you're dealing with is huge because then you can start turning to it and not, you can be compassionate towards yourself and you can say, hey, don't, you're fine. It's okay. It's all right. And you can talk to yourself. And so that's one of the tools I use is just really turning towards it and recognizing what's happening and kind of assessing it. And then inevitably when the email comes in, I will use that evidence as like, you see? Amy just wanted to go for a coffee on Tuesday. You see, it wasn't that you were fired or she was mad at you. And I kind of go to putting that towards my memory of helping not being dysregulated, you know?
Yeah, that's
All right,
great.
so this conversation is like about you, but
Talk to me.
I gotta say it.
That email thing
So
would be happening. Yeah, I could see that.
so here's the deal. Kind of same as you, only in the past couple of years have I also, the neurodivergence, all the things.
Okay.
The reason I found out about it in me is that my son was being sort of assessed by school programs and things like that. And they sent this giant questionnaire to me, and I looked through the questionnaire and I was like, I don't understand how this has anything to do with anything. This is just being a human. It's
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and so I started to go down the path, and I'm with you on that kind of like, it's like your whole life you've seen the world as like the sky is purple, and everybody's like, no, you idiot, it's blue. And then you find yourself surrounded by people you didn't even realize, but they all know the sky is purple, and it's just so much more comforting. But
Yeah.
and things will happen. Like just now, you said an email in my mind can be like running from a bear. And I'm like, I hadn't even thought about that being part of like the thing that I live with, but that
Mm.
happens. Like I sometimes for me, just logging in, knowing that there's something there, I'm like, I can't do it. It's like the scariest
Yep.
thing in the entire world.
Yep.
And I love that I can now be like, well, it's just a bear today. Today it's a bear. And it's
When we're
Yeah,
done
that's
here, let
good.
me hook you up with this woman, this woman on the podcast named Jenna Fine, and her whole thing is dysregulation. And she's got ADHD. She's done a lot of research on this stuff, and that's kind of where I've got this stuff from. And it, she will. I love finding ADHD coaches because I don't know if you've done this, but it's similar to what you're saying. When something pops up, you're like, "Hey, me too." Emails
right.
with Jenna and with other coaches. I've been like, "Oh, oh, oh, so I'm not supposed to do that. Oh, okay. I'm not supposed to have arguments in my head where I create the arguments and then create a situation where I'm telling this person, well, you can't, blah, 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 and, and then resolving the. That's not normal. People don't do that. Oh,
Mhm.
so people don't normally rehearse the conversations they have in their head with someone before they call them or before they meet with them. Oh, I thought that was no, so when you do the research, you start realizing all these things that are just like you said, like have been there all along. You just didn't realize were a part of your life. And similar to what you're saying, I have a friend in the OPP who his son had ADHD, and he was having some difficulty kind of acknowledging that he had it and dealing with it because it's certainly stigmatized, you know. And so what he did for him was he took the test with him just so he didn't feel so alone.
Mhm.
And similar to you, discovered he
Wow.
was neurodivergent, you know?
Mhm.
And it's funny because he and I met years ago at a big rec show, and neither of us knew that we were, but we got along like a barn on fire. We kept in touch, and he's been a great friend, you know. And then he told me about his diagnosis, and it just all makes sense, you know. So it's something that like I wish I discovered it sooner.
Yeah.
That will always kind of hurt me because there's been so much in terms of relationships and opportunities that I've messed up because I didn't know what I was dealing with. But having said that, um, on a not to trauma dump or take this in a weird place, but like I'm divorcing my wife. I'm just separating from my wife because um, not to get too much in the weeds about our personal stuff, but we both have neurodivergent issues, and it came to a point where she wasn't willing to work on it as a couple, and I was like, oh no, I've got a bunch of cheat codes now to life. Like we
Yeah.
got to figure this out. Like we can actually be better as a couple, which most people don't get to do. We get to learn about each other and like grow. And she, for her own, I'm not going to knock her for her own reasons. She just wasn't in a place where she was ready to do the work on that. And I, again, I'm 52, so ultimately I came to a point where I was like, I have to go. Like I have to go discover who I've been this whole time and make some changes about how I deal with myself and how I treat myself and how I treat my career and people I love and stuff like that. And so that's what I'm doing. So we've separated, and I'm really digging my heels in to kind of figure out that journey of who this person is.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
You
Like,
know.
good for you. Because I mean, I know through, through challenges, like, yeah, those are where the kind of epiphanies happen, you know?
Yeah.
What,
Well put.
as part of your journey, like, what do you hope for?
It's funny. It's reared its head in a really weird way that I didn't understand until I got the diagnosis, where I was having some serious crippling performance anxiety on stage. I've done this for a living since I was 20. And I've always been pretty confident. I've always known I had something a little different or was a little different in my playing and stuff. And at some point, a bunch of years ago, that confidence kind of was replaced by just serious insecurity to the point where it became crippling, to the point where, like, when I eat, like, I would play shows, and I'm talking like January 2025. Like, I'm talking like last year. Like, I'd play shows where I would play something, and as I'm playing it, I'm like, "Why did you play that? That was so stupid. Wow, that was so dumb." And I'd make a mistake, and the mistake, I would be thinking about the mistake 4 or 5 songs, later. Which what am I gonna do about a mistake that happened 20 minutes ago? What am I, it's gone. But it just would sit and fester, and I would ruminate, which is another thing that you can do when you have ADHD. You sit and you think you're ruminating is a way for your brain to think it's helping you by solving problems or preparing you from the bear by, like, knowing, like, next time we won't do that, we won't make that mistake. And so you end up ruminating, and it's poisonous. So for a long time, it got worse and worse to the point where, like, I would play a show that was a great show, but I just hated it and I just didn't enjoy it at all. One of the things I've learned is the brain doesn't have eyes. And what I mean by that is the brain doesn't know what's happening out here. The brain believes whatever you tell it. And if you tell your brain repeatedly that you are falling short because you're not fitting a mold, or you're falling short because you're not fitting your mold, or whatever it is, repeatedly, guess what narrative that brain starts to believe over
Yeah.
time, right? So just as powerful, I've learned, is the ability to literally just tell yourself something different, repeat it, something positive differently, and your brain, because it has no eyes, will gradually glom onto that and believe that. And so what I started doing was I would go on stage, and I'd just leave the guys for like 5 or 10 minutes in my head and put my headphones on and just be like, "Hey, you've played these songs a million times. You've gotten all the songs in this set like 10 out of 10 a million times. There's no reason for you to go on stage. Are you sick? No. Are your hands, your feet hurting? No. So why can't you go on stage right now and just play these songs perfectly? Why can't you do that? Of course you can. You can do that." And then I would do that, and I wouldn't believe it. Like, I didn't believe it. I would just keep saying it. Um, and then I would notice that, like, and it didn't take long. It took like 2 or 3 times. And I would notice that, like, I would be like, "Okay, here, this song's coming up, and there's this one tricky part, but again, you've nailed it. So you're gonna nail this. It'll be fine. Be present, be in the music, and you'll get this." And I'll be damned if I didn't sail through that part without issue. And I just kept telling myself that over and over and over again, and also telling myself, "Listen, you love what you do. You're good at what you do, and you love it. So why are you not appreciating this moment? Why are you not living in this moment? This moment's going to be gone, right? When you walk off the stage, for better or worse. So why are you not appreciating this, so that when it's gone, you're not thinking about those little mistakes. You're thinking about, like, wow, I just had a really great show with some people I love in front of a bunch of people who love us, and having that narrative and constantly telling myself those positive things. And, like, I it's wild. Like, my wife's moved out now. I've done something I've never done before, and it sounds so silly and so unmasculine, but I walk around and randomly just say, "Sekou, I love you."
It's awesome.
And I've never, before 2 weeks ago, I've never said that to never in my life. And I realized, like, how stupid that is. It's like, if you don't love yourself, who are you going to properly love, actually? So yeah, those are the ways I kind of just positive reinforcement, telling my brain positive things. Like, one thing that, like, I hate practicing. I can't stand practicing. But what I've learned is what you can do for your dumb brain is when you're done doing something you don't want to do, whether it's practicing or doing dishes or whatever it is, or shoveling the driveway, is when you're done, go, yes, yeah, woo!
Yeah.
Even if you don't believe it, it doesn't matter. If you can attach that physical feeling going, yes, yes, oh, that's a physiological feeling that your brain, your body remember and attach to that activity. So now when I practice, I practiced 3 times yesterday
Wow.
because I had something stuck in my head and I was just sitting here watching TV. I gotta go figure that out. And I've never done that, and it's just learning these cheat codes, that are really simple that we all have access to. And it's just changing the messaging that you're telling your brain. And in my case with my wife, I still love her to pieces, but ultimately removing a negative thing that was preventing me from becoming my true self,
You're
that's it.
you're basically a guru at this point. You realize that.
Absolutely. We're
There
gonna
are so many, like I can't think of anybody I know, and I know a lot of people because I'm a bit of an arts nerd myself, but I can't think of anybody I know in the kind of performing arts or visual arts or whatever community who doesn't overjudge themselves.
Yeah.
There's probably a certain amount of neurodivergence that you have to want to go into the arts in the first
100, you've hit the nail on the head.
place. But I think that just hearing what you just said about like just just give yourself a little bit of love. Just just give yourself a little woo woo. Those that's mind blowing stuff right there.
Yeah.
Do
You might
It
change
is.
a lot of people's lives.
Yeah.
do you guys make mistakes, like simple silly mistakes, and go, what are you thinking?
Oh my
Do you
God.
do that?
Oh my God. I will dwell, I'll do like a 99% job and dwell on that 1% for like a year.
Oh,
I
I know
want to
this
just go
well.
back. How could I do that? Why is that? What kind of nonsense was, yeah,
Perfectionism, yeah. Yeah. And that
right?
perfectionism is your brain is trying to protect you, basically,
Yeah,
right? From next time.
yeah.
And you're right. I think a lot of people in the arts community are neurodivergent and just don't know it. Like I went that foundation, the event we
Yeah.
were at,
Make music
Hmm.
matter.
Hmm.
Make Music Matters. I met so many people at that cocktail thing. I'm like, okay, well, you got autism. Oh my
Yeah. How'd
goodness.
you feel about that? Because
It
you
was
were awesome.
amazing.
You
It
were
was
amazing.
amazing. It was just
Hmm.
like seeing, because it was a whole new community of people for me. I don't know most of those people. I don't party in those circles, but like it was wild just to meet everyone. Everyone's super nice, super cool, and then just seeing it with the different glasses, being like, oh my God, this is incredible. This is my community here. And I actually met a woman who was talking to me about her husband, and we just kind of, again, we find each other, and she's opening up to me and telling me about her husband, who I forget his name. He plays drums in Stars.
Oh,
I
don't
forget.
quiz us. Don't do it.
Oh my God.
But she
Oh
was an artist
man.
herself and a lawyer, and her husband played drums. So she was telling me about him, and as she's talking about him, I'm like, in my head, I'm like, your husband's got autism. And then as the conversation is going, it's going. And I just felt comfortable saying, so do you think he has autism? Before the words are out, she's like, oh, 100%. Like it's just so obvious when you know what to look for and you know your people, you know what to look out for. And
Yeah.
it's special. It's really special. And I think it's great to be able to um lean into that and
Yeah.
and feel good about it, as opposed to feeling like, why is this so hard?
Yeah. For sure.
Mhm.
For
Yeah.
sure. And
It's
so, and what's your favorite part of music? Like, what element do you really absolutely love?
Wow. Jeez. That's a
C
question.
flat. Sorry.
My favorite part, man, there is a moment where well, here, we all love music, right? Your favorite songs. Imagine being in your favorite song, right? Imagine being part of creating your favorite song. That is, to me, such a special moment. Like, I was a fan of Big Rec before I was in the band. Before I ever met Ian or any of those guys, I was a huge fan.
Yeah.
And the the opportunity I have to play these songs that I have loved for decades and put my own stink on them a little bit, but really respect the song, respect the parts. And I also know that the thousands of people out there who are watching also love, no pun
Yeah.
intended, love that song. You know what I mean? Like there's something like the ability to be part of something that you feel so special about is I mean there's nothing like it, right? They're
How did that
just
come about, by the way, for you? Get being
oh, with Big
involved.
Wreck.
Yeah.
um I had moved into a place, a friend of a friend knew I needed a place to live, and a friend of a friend knew of this other guy who had a studio that they were living. It was like a music recording studio, but people also like two other guys lived there, and they had another room. They're like, you can come live here too. It was like an apartment. Like we had a strip living room and a kitchen and a deck, and but at the back was this really nice recording studio. That guy was a sometime tech for Big Rec, and he had a recording studio in there like that Ian would rent out and just write his own music in because he just had all this music coming out of him. So when I moved in, they were like, "Hey, the guy from Big Rec's just down the hall." I'm like, no way. So I just kept my distance and I didn't say anything to him just to be respectful, but I was freaking out, obviously. Um, and then I guess he was recording, and so much that Forrest, the original drummer for Big Rec, who lived in Boston, couldn't come up. He would come up like every few weeks and track drums like at our place, which was mind blowing. And then eventually Ian had more material than Forrest could come up for. So my roommate was like, "Hey, the guy down the hall plays drums, right?" And he was like, "Oh, yeah, okay." So I'm in my room playing Xbox. I open the door and I'm like, and he's like, "Hey, you want to come maybe just put down some just simple drums for me and the stuff?" I'm like, "Okay." And so I went. He played me a song, and the thing with Ian and so I'll say this: Ian, I can say we're pretty sure Ian's also neurodivergent. He's on the fence. He said, "No, I'm not. No, I'm not." His wife is like convinced he is because she is as well. Um, and so we're like, "Dude, you are. There's no way you're not." But he's still not coming out of the closet about that. Um, but that to say that when we first met, when he first played me his music, I instantly knew what to play. Like it wasn't like try this, try this. It was like yeah. And so I got it in one take. Like it was just a perfect take in one take. And he was like, awesome. He's like, how about this one? And I was like, let's do it once. I was like, okay. And I got it in one take. And then we did another one. And it was just, and it was just this instant connection and like appreciation. And I like, it was going so well that at one point I was like, man, I'm such a huge fan of your stuff. You have no idea. And he shut down
Mm.
because we'd made a connection. And then I kind of blurred it by just becoming like a slobbering fan. But that's how it was. And then from there, we play a lot of Xbox, a lot of Halo, and then every so often we'd make music, and then we just became really fast friends. We've been best friends for decades because of it. But that's how it happened. It was just literally
Wow.
that happenstance, like
That's
I'm like,
crazy.
yeah.
How long does it take if you like you meet somebody who you admire them, you admire their work? How long does it take for them to become person sized?
Yeah.
You know what? Let's take Hank.
Hmm.
Let's take Hank as a perfect example. I I told Hank this once, but I didn't like. I have been an uber fan of his since I was a child, like a lot of people. I think
So
he's a
for listeners and,
genius.
and for listeners in our audience, it's Hank Azaria that we're talking about.
Right. Of Simpsons fame, of
Tons of
Forgetting
movies,
Sarah Marshall, the Birdcage. What did you say? Which one?
tons of movies.
Tons of like so many things, so many things. Just genius comedic actor, incredible timing, like voices for days and stuff, and did so many voices on The Simpsons. So as a kid and growing up, he could do no wrong. He was one of the actors that like if he's in something, you just go see whether it's good or bad. Like
Hmm.
I think he's wonderful. So when I got the opportunity to play, I just jumped at it. Like I got paid was like was nothing. Like it didn't mean anything. Like he meant the world. So when I got in the room with him, it was just about being professional. It was just like hello, how are you? Nice to meet you. But yes, I'm familiar with who you are, of course, blah, blah, blah. And to the party and make sure he was happy and everything.
Actually,
And
sometimes it's even the opposite. It's like, yeah, hey, dude.
exactly,
It's
exactly.
like,
Because he
you're like
like
way too chill.
I'll tell you, like with Hank, he never became human sized. He was always Hank, he was always like, I
Yeah.
can't believe I'm here
Right?
at
There's some people that are just like chill, you know?
Yeah. With Ian it's different. With Ian, like we've gotten into fist fights before. We've argued over music and call each other all kinds of names and all. So we're brothers, so it's a little different. But he is without question one of the best guitar players in the world. One of the best guitar players in Canada. That's just a fact that people accept. And every so often, we've done hundreds of shows together. And every so often, I'm like, holy shit, I'm playing with this guy. Like, this guy thinks that I'm good enough to play with him. Holy shit! So every so often that kind of sinks in because he has retroactively ruined guitar players for me. Guitar players I grew up listening to, I'm like, they're not as good as he is. So so in some cases you kind of like step aside and go like, oh wow, that's kind of wild. But over the years I've gotten to work with a handful of famous people or well-known people, and you just have to be professional, but internally you're like, I'm in this moment, and the fact that I'm here to do this means that like, because I have a lot of self-doubt in my playing, and I for a long time and on certain days I will think the fact that I am where I am is a fluke, you know. And so so every so often when you're playing drums behind Carly Rae Jepsen or or recording drums for Bruno Mars or something, you're like I'm I'm here, like I'm doing this right now. It's just crazy this is happening. Um, but generally it's just about staying professional, and you don't, I'm 50, so I can't really get too caught up by that stuff unless it's Hank Azaria.
That's awesome. Well, I know we're coming close. I mean, oh my God, we could talk to you all day. And thank you. We're so grateful. And I just want
Absolutely.
to ask you, like, if you weren't doing music, what else? What would be something else you would do, or not? Like, what would that thing be?
I really don't know.
Well, there you go. So
I
this is
really
what you're
don't
meant to
know.
do.
Yeah. I maybe, before music, it was art. I used to love drawing.
Oh,
And then I
cool.
discovered drums and it was just like, nope. Um, So maybe I might go back. That goes something I was good at. I usually an ADHD thing is we don't like to be bad at things. We don't like to like. I want to learn bass, but like I've tried and been so terrible at it. I just want to be instantly good at it, which is stupid. You have to suck at stuff before you're good at it. Just how it is. Um, and so when I discovered drumming, I was like, nope. It was just I was instantly good at it, and I was just off to the races. So maybe go back to art or something like that.
Cool.
Yeah.
Wow. What kind of medium?
Oh,
Like
comic books. I
comic
was
books.
obsessed,
Oh,
Cool. That's
obsessed
cool.
with them. Yeah, as a kid. Not so much now, but
Wishing you like all the best. And thank you
thank you
so
so
much.
much. Appreciate it. Appreciate your
thank you,
time.
thank you, thank you. Well, you're cool. You're